coming up on the URRP Girls Podcast.
Like when I'm special today.
Restart.
Why? What'd you do?
Started and I was like, shit, she's not looking at me. Okay,
See what happens when you make me move my camera?
We're amazing today. If no one told you, we're amazing today. We're pronouncing all the words correct.
We are knocking it out of the
an
park.
arm. Look at, I'm so amazing. I don't have an arm. Now I do. Now I don't. All right.
We are so amazing. Okay.
And this episode is not about shaming the bare minimum because that works, or glorifying burnout because going above and beyond can be really successful.
Being the one who's always there for other people, while admirable, it comes with consequences. And it's okay to put yourself first. And it's okay to tell people, I just can't do that right now. Hey, welcome back to the URRP Girl Podcast, where shenaniganery is mandatory. I'm T, and I'm here with my girl KV.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody. So glad you're with us.
So before we get into what we're going to talk about today, let's do our Stronger Than Yesterday segment. KV, what went well for you?
Just transitioning back full-time into work after having holidays off, time management, getting my feet back underneath myself, not sleeping in, setting my alarm. It was actually smooth, a very full week, but a smooth week. And I love when the chaos feels accomplishable, or like I accomplish things within the chaos. So
I know those are tough transitions. So good for you for being able to do that. I've never been so glad that I teach from home. So not envious.
And what about you? How are you stronger than yesterday?
I met with my committee yesterday, and it was a really good meeting. And I thought it was going to go a different way, but it actually went well. And data collection is going to close soon, probably by the end of the month. And hopefully I'll be defending my dissertation by March. So getting super close.
That is like, can I do this? I'm going to heart it.
Oh, thank you.
It's not working anything.
It's not working.
So no firework. Oh, wait. It's very exciting. I am so proud of you. It is feeling like, nope, they didn't go up. There they go.
But they're just delayed fireworks for today.
I feel like it's been such a long road. And so it's that one step closer to the end for you. And that just has to feel relieving. Like you're not done by any means, but it's that breath of like, yeah, you made it to the next phase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. That actually connects with our episode that we're doing today. So we are talking about beyond 9 to 5 effort, right? Specifically the difference between people who naturally go above and beyond, past that 9 to 5 work time slot, and the people who are like, nah, I did what was required and I'm good. I'm at peace.
Spoiler, I think we've all been everywhere on the spectrum, especially throughout this journey.
Absolutely. I know I have. Yeah. And this episode is not about shaming the bare minimum because that works, or glorifying burnout because going above and beyond can be really successful.
I mean, take our situation. We are in the same place, but we got there a little bit differently. And neither way that we got there was right or wrong, but knowing yourself and how you're wired is what we're going to talk about today.
And when you say we got there differently, understatement. Massive understatement. I completely agree with you, and how much we've learned about ourselves through this process. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So we want to talk about the lens through which we view effort. And some people see effort as extra. And I've always been the person who puts in the extra effort and is always the extra to the extreme, not necessarily in a healthy way. And an example of this is the students. I don't know if you have this in your class, but I offer extra credit. And my students that do the extra credit are always the ones who already have 100% in the class. And
I
that is me too. Do you have that?
I do. I do have a handful. Yep. It's also me to a degree. It used to be me for sure. Now, not as much. And it sometimes it depends on like what the class is, right? For
Mhm.
myself, what is it in? What's a grade? But I definitely see that, and I'm going to label them as the type A students,
Mhm.
right? Things must be a certain way, and they're striving for excellence.
Right. Yeah. And for me, and I know that sometimes my level of effort is not healthy. But in my mind, it's I'm wired to give more. And do I if I have something that's not done, I feel like I'm responsible and there's unfinished business and this drive to finish it. I think that doing extra makes me feel grounded and competent. We talked about having high functioning anxiety and thriving in that chaos. And for me, that kind of comes out like getting things done way before the deadline or doing the extra thing. And, I kind of view that I take pride in that, and it's tied to my identity and self-respect, which isn't always healthy.
Yes, but I'm also going to say, like, on the flip side, for those of us who are working with people like you, we also have to be aware that you're not doing extra for praise.
Mm,
You're doing it because not doing it feels wrong because of how you're
absolutely.
wired. So I
Yeah.
can't operate on the assumption like they just want all this praise. Now,
Mhm.
you literally don't know how to cut it off.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better.
Um, yeah, well, I don't know about better, but just a different way. But thank you. Um, the thing that I have worked on for myself is because I used to be a I would do extra. I would do way too much. I would say yes to way too many things without realizing what I was doing to myself. I would overextend almost as like people pleasing. Oh, you need help? Yes. Oh, I can do this. Yes. One more thing. Yes. But then I would burn out and I would get tired and fatigued. I'd almost feel like I'm going crazy. And so now I really try to focus on not stressing out about the extra stuff. Like the things that don't matter to me, I don't need to expend my energy on. Um, I will meet my own expectations to protect my own peace.
Hmm.
Now, there's always going to be expectations from other people, but like finding that balance of what do I need to do for myself? And then going above and beyond only happens if it aligns with my values, not guilt because someone has asked me to do a thing.
And that used to confuse me about you.
Probably, yeah, until we got to know each other. Your way used to be my way, and it exhausted me. And I will be honest, and I've told you this before, sometimes it exhausts me watching you and how you function because I worry that you're going to hit the burnout.
Right. Right.
I can identify with it so well. I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I'm not there, I'm close.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so let's talk about where extra effort actually comes from because it is not always what people think it is. Sometimes that extra effort is healthy, right? It comes from having high personal standards. Research shows that people with strong internal standards tend to experience higher task engagement and performance. Not because, again, it's like I said earlier, not because they're chasing praise, but because excellence is how they see themselves. It's just how they are.
And that leads into identity based motivation. And that's kind of where we tie our identity to our effort. Like, I'm the one who always follows through. And studies in motivational psychology show that when we tie effort to identity, it's actually more sustainable than if we tie it to things like external rewards or a pay raise or a good grade in class.
Right, because not everyone's motivated by those things. So
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
Extra effort can also come from the need to have control, right? This is a thing that I can control. I can control my effort.
Mhm.
So when things feel uncertain, effort becomes a way to create predictability. I know what's coming next. I know what I'm putting my time into, and that makes sense. Our brains are wired to reduce uncertainty. We don't like that feeling. So I
Mhm.
know giving the extra effort, I know what I'm getting, right? But the problem comes in with control driven effort quietly can turn into that overexertion and we don't even know it's happening.
Yeah. And that's the part we don't talk about enough. Sometimes extra effort isn't coming from strength, it's coming from fear and
Yes.
anxiety. Fear of disappointing others is huge, and it's especially huge for me. I fear that quite often. And there's a lot of research on perfectionism, and studies show that people who fear negative evaluation, they're significantly more likely to overwork and struggle with chronic stress.
Yes. And then there's the overfunctioning side.
Hmm.
When one person consistently does more to compensate for others, group projects, right? How many of us had to do a group project and you hated it because the other people weren't doing the weight, but you wanted a good grade, right? So psychology research links overfunctioning to increased emotional exhaustion and resentment over time because you have bitter feelings towards those who aren't pulling their own weight.
Right. Um, and I think one of the biggest red flags is when we tie our productivity to our self-worth. And this is something that I'm definitely guilty of, but studies show that people who equate their value with output experience higher cortisol levels, um, greater burnout risk, and even more difficulty resting, even when the rest is needed. Who does that sound like, KV?
You girl, sounds like you. I've been there though. So let me like I completely understand and I've been there, right? And here's what I want you and others like you to remember, extra effort isn't bad. It
Mhm.
isn't. Sometimes it's very necessary. But when your nervous system believes that rest equals failure,
Mhm.
that is not ambition. That's survival mode. And survival mode is expensive.
Right.
Literally financially expensive, physically expensive, and mentally expensive.
Yeah. I think when effort comes from identity, it can build you. But when it comes from fear, the fear of failure, or disappointing people, it actually costs you. It's harmful. So I know I've had to ask myself, am I doing this because I really care or because I don't know how to stop?
And that's the difference between healthy effort and shrinking yourself.
Mm.
I used to believe in burning myself out to prove my value. I have worked really hard on recognizing that pattern for myself. And I now actually believe in consistency, not going the extra mile, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing that research backs up: consistency actually beats intensity over time. So, studies
Mm.
on performance and habit formation show people who maintain steady, sustainable effort outperform those who work in bursts and then crash. Intensity feels productive, but consistency is what compounds.
Hmm. That is interesting because that's definitely me working in spurts and until I crash. So good to know.
Well, and I'm still
Um,
guilty of it. I just don't do it as much.
yeah, I mean that's just how I function best, getting through this program and just kind of marathon sessions of writing. 10 hours later, look up, I haven't gone to the bathroom or gotten something to eat or taken a drink of water. So that makes perfect sense. Um, But one thing I've noticed is boundaries matter. And one thing I can say about you is you have great boundaries and you're really good at communicating with me and letting me know if there's something that you can't add to your plate, something more that you can't add. And I think it's important to, make that distinction. Boundaries are not laziness, you know. So, I've been doing a lot of research on burnout for my dissertation. And psychological research shows that people with clear boundaries actually report lower emotional exhaustion and better job satisfaction, as well as like stronger long term performance. So, saying no to overextending yourself actually makes it easier to say yes to doing what matters.
Thank you for your compliment on boundaries. I didn't used to do it. I really
Mhm.
struggled. I was the yes, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. And I would feel so disrupted or so unbalanced because I never had time
Mhm.
to do things I wanted because
Right.
I said yes to everything. So thank you for seeing that. It actually means like, oh, I there is growth here and I've improved. So gosh, honestly, that means so much to me. I will also add that one of the most underrated performance skills is calm. When you stay regulated, your prefrontal cortex stays online. It's that part of your brain responsible for decision making and problem solving. Chronic stress shuts that down. And so while panic looks like urgency, it's actually a reduction in cognitive efficiency.
And that's something we have felt a million times in this program. The pressure to get something done by a deadline, panic about we didn't hear back from our committees. And so, can you imagine how much more cognitively efficient we would be if we could learn that skill of calm?
Yes, and here's the hard truth. Not everything deserves your extra energy.
Right.
Attention is a finite resource. Research on cognitive load shows that spreading effort too thin lowers the overall effectiveness. So protecting your energy isn't avoidance, it's actually a strategy.
Right. And honestly, watching you not panic has really helped me learn the practice of restraint.
Beyond 9 to 5 isn't about working more.
No, I mean, I think it's about being more deliberate with your effort and your time. Looking at all of this, we have those two ends of the spectrum. And we've got the people who do way too much and are exhausted and burn out. And then we have the people who say, not important. And where I would place myself on that spectrum, unfortunately, is probably that end with the burnout and exhaustion and giving too much. And I can see this in myself. I mean, I know what's happening, but in research 884, y'all were making fun of me because I would have the week 7 assignment done by week 2. And, someone would ask, hey, did you get that assignment started? And I'd say, well, I turned mine in early. And they say, of course you did. Um, and so it will always stick with me that y'all think it's funny that I over prepare, but that's a sign, that's a sign that I had to pick up. And I also do this and see this by trying to anticipate people's needs and checking up on people and giving people my time that I should probably be investing in myself. And then I also notice this in supporting others quietly. So if someone needs help with the statistics for their chapter 4, oh, I got you. I got you. Let me show you this step by step process and let me run them for you. I can help you with that. And overextending myself by doing for others. And so I definitely see that show up.
I I think what I love about you placing yourself there is your awareness, because at one point you were not aware. I am going to say to you, I actually don't think it's funny. I know you think that because I actually admire your ability to prepare early, but it is the obsession of being done early that I get concerned about.
Sure.
And
Sure.
we had this conversation. Teresa, are you trying to fix someone or are you trying to help someone?
Right.
Because that's that, like, what does that support truly look like and how much are you picking up? Because help and fix are two very different efforts.
They really are. And you can't help someone in a time where they should be learning how to help themselves. That saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he can eat for the rest of his life.
Yes, and let me be really vulnerable. It's not like I have wisdom in this. It's because someone asked me that same question. Right? A football coach said to me, "You gotta let the kids learn. Quit trying to fix them. Figure out how to help them."
Right.
Oh, golly, that hit. I mean, I felt like, what? I was helping. No, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. I was trying to fix. And
Yeah.
that's not fair, right? And so
Mhm.
I learned from that person and literally phrased it to you just about the exact same way, because like,
Mhm.
oh, I see it. I see this now.
Mhm.
So I appreciate your honesty
Yeah.
on where you would put yourself. I would also put you there. If I'm reflecting on my own, right, I've been at that spot in the past, I probably land back and forth somewhere in the middle. I
Mhm.
will never ever be the I just did enough person. I strive for excellence as well, but I don't prepare early. Sometimes I procrastinate, and sometimes my procrastination helps me succeed in crazy ways, right? And other times my
Mhm.
procrastination stresses me out. But I'm going to land myself somewhere in the middle because I really do try not to escalate my stress. I
Mhm.
I I am a chronic stressor. I At some point I'm going to be happy to announce, fam, that I'm not, but today is not that day. I am a chronic stressor, but I try really hard to not escalate it and make it worse for myself and others around me.
Mhm.
I I have the ability, even when I'm really stressed. One of my strengths is that regulation of being calm, but it has taken years of practice. My emotional intelligence was not always what it is now.
Right.
I absolutely am aware of when enough is enough. I say no to things now more than ever.
Mhm.
And if it's something I'm passionate about, I will say no, and I will not, like, I'm really interested that I just can't do that right now.
Mhm.
Can we come back to this in the future?
Right. And I pointed that out about your boundaries earlier. You've got great boundaries. But to kind of echo and validate what you just said, your emotional regulation, I consider myself emotionally intelligent, but your
You are.
emotional regulation is so far beyond me. I am so guided by my feelings. And when I get amped up in the moment, I've got to try to fix something in the moment. And so many times you've said, calm down.
Breathe.
Let's just wait,
Mhm.
take a pause, wait, see how you feel till tomorrow. And you've taught me the value of the pause, the value of the breathing. And I've seen you fire off an email when you're upset that is so professional and calm sounding, but I know how you are behind the scenes. I can't do that.
You will
Let's just
one day. I promise you, you will one day. Hang out with me long enough, girl. We got this. You
wait,
know what?
it's
Let's just
it's
craft all the
been a
things.
minute since we've been friends, and I still am not capable. I will call you and be like, "Oh my God, you gotta hear this. I'm gonna send an email." You're stop. Let's talk about it. So I really have learned from you. I kid. I mean, but I have grown in my ability to regulate emotionally, I would say, by observing you.
Well, thank you. I will echo that I do believe there's hope for you, because you used to send the email first and then ask me how I felt about it. And I'm like, oh, dear God, did you hit send? And now you're like, all right, this is what I want to say. And I will always ask you, okay, put yourself in the other person's shoes because words on paper, text, email, we don't have a tone of voice to go with it.
Right.
So, what message, if you're in all caps, you're screaming at me, right?
Hmm.
So, I try to we have to operate pretending like the person reading this has no idea.
Right.
And it goes, right? So I choose to operate like whatever they sent me is because they had really good intentions. And so
Mhm.
I've tried to like, Teresa, what are your intentions behind this? Why are you mad? Explain why you're mad. Don't just be aggressive, right? And then
Mhm.
we might choose different words. So I've actually seen that growth because now before you hit send, you've drafted it and you're like, would you please look this over? So I know you have hope for eventually getting there. And here's the thing, it takes time. Do you know how many times I messed up and didn't sound professional?
Yeah, probably a
Several,
lot.
several,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I've always been in PE sports, like emergencies happen or crisis, maybe not emergency, but like crisis happen and you got to respond. And, you know, parents are mad, fans are mad, players are mad, coaches are mad, like
Hmm.
all get mad, excuse me. We all get mad. And so I've in, I've just had to learn to don't react,
Yeah.
respond, don't react. So,
Yeah. And you
getting-
mentioned that last week, though, in our, Builders and Bulldozers episode about if you can regulate those emotions, that actually will reduce what was it, like 80% of the bulldozing behavior. So it's
Mhm.
important for not bulldozing people, but in this forum, it's crucial to not overperforming or overextending yourself, going beyond that 9 to 5.
Yes, and just a reminder, everybody, because we operate so differently, beyond 9 to 5 is different depending on who you are. We have a lot of similarities, but our beyond 9 to 5 probably won't perfectly match up with each other. We'll be able to understand, identify, but our beyond 9 to 5 is going to be different because we're different. We operate different. We
Yeah.
function different. So,
And it's important to look for those differences too. So, you know, if you saw me all of a sudden not caring and not giving effort, that would be something that would be a red flag for you, right?
100%. That shift matters.
Hmm.
Uh, Occupational burnout shows that one of the earliest warning signs isn't exhaustion, it's emotional disengagement. When people stop caring, stop trying, stop investing, it's not because they're lazy, it's because they're being depleted.
Right.
And huge, huge red flag.
Yeah. I think it's something like 70% of working adults have burnout symptoms at some point. I feel like it's probably higher, but studies show about 70%. And one of the most common behavioral signs is doing only what's required and not to rebel against a situation, but just out of sheer self-preservation.
I've been there. I 100% have like, this is what you get.
Hmm.
This is what you get from me. I am absolutely self-preserving, right? And it's also the part that people will mislabel.
Yeah, I think people sometimes can look at it as laziness, but it's a sign of burnout or misalignment.
Yeah, research shows that when effort no longer feels meaningful or safe, our nervous system pulls back. We start conserving energy. We stop offering extra. It is not a character flaw. It is your body telling you something here isn't working.
Yeah. And chronic misalignment, whether it's values, role expectations, or your environment, it's strongly associated with disengagement and cynicism and reduced motivation. So we've actually seen that phenomenon and we've called that kind of quiet quitting, since COVID came into play. And there are a lot of studies. It's a hot topic in research that quiet quitting, only doing the bare minimum and being cynical and unhappy. So, in other words, when the work no longer fits, your effort is naturally going to drop.
Bare minimum becomes a problem when it stays. It shows up, we're okay. When it stays, now we got a problem.
And so here's an opportunity, I think, for all of us to self-reflect, and not out of judgment, but just out of curiosity. Is this a season or a signal?
Mm.
And what I mean by a season, seasons come and go, and they're kind of situational. It's, illness, grief, temporary overload, transition. And sometimes the bare minimum is acceptable because that is the most compassionate thing that we can do to take care of ourselves, is to just not overextend. Sometimes that's all we can give. So if it's a season, if it's temporary, if there's a reason, I'm a little less concerned about that. But when I start to be concerned and view something as a signal, would be like if you've outgrown something. So maybe your values have shifted. My husband works in law enforcement. And if there is an officer that loved their job and all of a sudden there's a loss of productivity for no reason and just no effort, maybe their values have shifted. Maybe that career choice is no longer appropriate for them. Maybe they lost their drive to go serve the public. And that's okay. It's stopping to recognize that and take that self inventory. That's important to see who you were maybe isn't who you are, and who is it that I'm becoming.
Yes, but preach, because I'm going to use your example.
Mhm.
You said a thing about like they no longer identify as serving the public,
Sure.
or they do still want to serve the public, but not in the same capacity. It might be a misalignment issue with them as an individual and where they're employed at, or the position they hold. They still want to serve the public, but it needs to be different. And so it's very accurate. And yes, it is not just law enforcement. Literally throw a career out there and we would say, yes, it can happen in this field too. So, right, it's happened. It's a real thing, very much I can identify with, because I have changed careers. I've changed positions because of that misalignment.
Sure.
And to remember, if you're evaluating between, is this a season or is this a signal? Your job is not to shame yourself for pulling back. Your job is to listen and evaluate why.
Mm-hmm.
Bare minimum isn't the problem. Ignoring why you are at bare minimum is. Teresa, we talked earlier about where we would place ourselves on this effort spectrum. Tell me the benefit of where you're at.
I self-evaluate so much. I focus on the things I need to change. But I think one of the benefits is reliability. I trust myself that I am going to show up. What about you?
Well, I'm going to back that up. Not only do you show up for yourself, but you show up for others for sure. My benefit is I know with where I'm at, I won't abandon what I need to do. I won't abandon myself for someone else's expectation. I am going to say no when I need to say no.
And just like you said that I show up for other people, you don't abandon other people within reason. The people in your circle, and you're very deliberate about who's in your circle, but you show up for them, and you do not abandon them. There are times where we have difficult conversations that I might shy away from, and you will say, nope, that's not going to happen. We're going to talk about this, and I need you to tell me where you're at. And that's actually been so beneficial for me.
Thank you. Thank you. And your form and my like being on the high end of effort and me saying and you saying you're going to trust yourself and then me being on the middle somewhere and saying I'm not going to abandon this. Um, both are really positive forms of integrity. It still is finding the balance, but
Mhm.
good parts of integrity that we
Yeah.
hold for ourselves.
Yeah, which is
Mhm.
super important to me. Integrity is probably one of my highest order values. So thanks for saying that. That's perfect.
Welcome. The other piece I want our fam, right? If you're going through this and self-evaluating and where are you at and wondering season signal, so many things we've discussed. The other piece that I want our fam to reflect on, we've had so many pieces, season signal, right? Where do we land on our effort scale? I want you to ask yourself, when I give extra, does it energize me or does it drain me?
Hmm.
Okay. And then that follow up, or in addition to, I should say, do I hold back from giving extra because I'm protecting myself or avoiding the uncomfortable? I'm avoiding growth.
Right. While you were talking, I have to admit, I was thinking about something, and I was thinking about why I am the way that I am, why I go, and do all the things. And we've talked about in a previous episode, I went through a long period of time where I was not well. And I will say, I mean, I lost 8 years of my life being in bed and unproductive and not paying attention and not showing up for the people I love. And when I made the decision that this is not going to be my life and started on this new path, what I've noticed is the longer that I've been on this new path, the more I've really started charging into gear and giving that extra effort. And I think on some subcognitive level, I'm making up for lost time. I'm making up for the times that I didn't show up and that I didn't achieve. And I I need to probably look at that differently because you can't make up for lost time that way because that could put me in a position to make me sick again. With lupus, I can have flare ups at any time and then I lose that time. So there's a lot of self evaluation that goes in, but the value of the self evaluation is just crucial. But overall, the goal is not to change who we are, it's to be honest about it.
Yes. And I'm going to use your self-evaluation actually because off camera, we did have a hard conversation and we
Mhm.
talked about this and you're like, but I'm making up. And I love that you are taking advantage and for like simplistic words, you're taking advantage of being alive and well. And I love that.
Mhm.
And I think I asked you, but at what cost? Or or what are you trying to prove? Because you don't need to prove to me that you have to do extra, like I love you for who you are. I love
Mhm.
your drive. I love your passion. I know you missed years. My concern of your extra effort is you're going to put yourself back in that spot where
Right.
you were operating out of like, I got to make up for this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
girl, you're driving yourself right back to this. But
Right.
we are from different lenses. And so that conversation helped us. Like, I'm listening to what you say, going, okay, I need to apply this differently. And you're listening to what I'm saying, going, she does have a point, right? And it
Mhm.
is that it's a self-evaluation, but we're learning to process with each other and see the other point of view. So,
Right.
uh, sorry, that was off topic, off tangent, but it was really important, and it was to me, it's a massive growth piece because
Yes.
I think anytime you have awareness or the ability to pause and reflect shows growth.
Right.
That matters. Um, Extra effort isn't a virtue, isn't the thing we hang our hat on, and bare minimum isn't failure.
Right. It's the aligning the two and being able to constantly reevaluate that I think is the real win.
Facts. Facts on facts. Fam, if you find yourself thinking, "Ooh, I am a little bit like T," here is my advice. Learn when to rest. Rest isn't quitting, and it's not laziness. It is how you're going to protect the version of yourself that actually shows up really well. You don't lose your edge by resting, you actually sharpen it. It goes back to that cognitive piece. If you do too much without rest, your brain actually is not processing at the rate it once was. And so by resting, you make yourself better.
And I think if you're like KV, my advice to you would be to always be self-assessing and grounding yourself based on the energy that you have to give. And I will say, KV, with you, you are kind of all over the spectrum, which I think is a strength.
You're not wrong, though.
I think it's a strength. But I also have seen times where you're just like, nope, not today, not today. And then there are times where you're like, okay, I got to get all this stuff done. Teresa, help me make a to-do list. We've got to, I've got to get all this done. So I've seen you do both. And so I think for people who are like you, my advice would be never stop self-assessing every single day. What is my energy? What do I have to give? And keep yourself grounded. And so not every challenge is a threat, and not every extra effort is going to lead to burnout. So sometimes leaning in just a little bit more can actually help you kiss the edge, as we say, and help you discover that you're capable of more than you thought.
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap this up with our rides recap. T, what is something that you want our URRP fam to take away from this episode?
If I had to choose a takeaway or a lesson that I would want our URRP fam to get from me, is that being the one who's always there for other people, while admirable, it comes with consequences. And it's okay to put yourself first. And it's okay to tell people, I just can't do that right now.
So, what I hear you saying is that you have to take care of yourself to be able to help, not fix, help others.
Yes, that is what I'm saying 100%. And as you say that, I'm like, gosh, I got to do better. I got to do better to stop fixing and start helping.
Listen, for those of us who are fixers, we feel this because we talked about I still want to fix. Like I do, I still want to fix, but I have to learn my lane.
Yeah. What about you, KV? What is your rise recap?
Fam, I think that I want you to observe how other people find the balance. Not just one, not just two, like literally dive in, conversation, see who do you admire, who seems balanced to you, evaluate that, and then start applying those things to yourself and know it's going to take time. It is going to take time to find the balance, and old habits are hard to break. But I also want to remind you that when you do find the balance, it will not look like anyone else's. You might take a snippet here and a snippet there. Your balance is for you because you are you.
Well said, KV. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think that's another episode in the books. KV, where can our listeners find us?
You can find us on YouTube. Type up URRP Girls. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at URRP Girls. You can find us on Facebook under United Rise and Resilience Project. Also, if this episode resonated with you, or you think it would help someone else, share it with them.
Right. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can also email us at connect@urp.net for sharing episode ideas or share your successes with us.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
All right. Well, that does it for us. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next week. Love you.
Love you.
Be honest. Are you giving extra because it energizes you? Or because you're afraid to stop? I've always been someone who goes above and beyond. I give extra effort, extra care, extra thought, because that's who I am. But here's a lesson I've had to learn the hard way. Giving more isn't always giving better.
Cut that. Let me. Yep. Round 3. I think it does.
Did I say that?
It's okay. You said research on performance instead of perfectionism.
Like when I'm special today. Study. There's a. You're gonna kill me.
I'm not going to kill you at all.
Less, more.
I'm sorry. I have to laugh because I was trying really hard not to laugh last time. So let's just laugh and get it done. Do you want to make your words bigger? I'm not trying to be an insult right now. Like what?
Oh, I can read it just fine. I just keep changing them. Ready?
Fear of disappointing.
Which is, I'm feeling that right now.
Restart.
Why? What'd you do?
Started and I was like, shit, she's not looking at me. Okay,
see what happens when you make me move my camera?
My hands are down. You are free to go at any point in time.
Thank you. All right. For sake. Okay. I was thinking about making my
windows. I
windows.
saw your face. And I'm going to say, what I'm going to say is student athlete.
My line.
I knew you were not going to say whatever your line was. I could see on your face. You were like, yes. And God, I like us a lot.
Oh my God. So now I can.
I said, yeah. I said, yeah. Yeah. And then I just nodded and I'm mad at myself. Yes. But I don't want to say yeah, but I don't know what else to say. That's correct, ma'am. Well done. Good point. Excellent. Student athlete.
Just say,
words are hard.
Why don't you just say that and I'll shut the up and then you go into your next thing.
Let me clear my throat. Didn't want to say it while you were drinking.
Try that again. And I was thinking the whole time, I have this piece of skin on my lip. And that's really all I was thinking. Shut
Sounds like a personal problem.
It does sound like a personal problem. Let me see.
Or pre-fun. Prefrontal. When you stay, I can't see your face right now. I'm sorry, you're making me laugh. We're amazing today. If no one told you, we're amazing today. We're pronouncing all the words correct.
We are knocking it out of the park.
Look at, I'm so amazing. I don't have an arm. Now I do. Now I don't. All right.
We are so amazing. Okay. We're gonna do this. I would say that's what I would say.
We're gonna make a song. I swear to you, we're gonna find all of our ums and put a mantra and put it to like
So cool.